Hey, everybody, and welcome to Common Good Conversations, a podcast creating deeper narratives at the intersection of faith and politics for the common good in West Michigan. I'm your host, Nick Brock. Sean Skinner is away at band camp. Hey, friends, did you know the August primary has 33 candidates seeking to be Ottawa County's next commissioner? Ottawa County is seeking an influx of candidates for the first time in 2 decades. Many are hoping to be the county's next commissioner following a contentious 15 months. If you want to understand the landscape of politics at all in West Michigan, there's no better place to look than Ottawa County because people of all political persuasions are getting involved in local government and working to get rid of the extreme elements of political partisanship. So in that clip, they interview Ottawa County Clerk Justin Roebuck, and he says that it has been an unprecedented time for this as these 33 candidates, many Republicans, but never before seen an amount of Democrats running to become Ottawa County Board of Commissioners. Another note here is that the Ottawa County GOP endorsement convention chooses Ottawa Impact candidates. Now, many of the Republican candidates running against Ottawa Impact, to include the sheriff candidate Eric DeBoer and county prosecutor Sarah M. I'm not going to butcher her name live. And the mayor of Hudsonville, Mark Northrup, have voiced their dissent over this process, saying, in effect, that the system has been rigged against them and is cause for voter interference by giving overwhelming support to Ottawa Impact, and that it further usurps the voting electorate to give the backing support behind the candidates of their choosing. So those are a few notes on what's going on in Ottawa County, and that note right there is courtesy of Ottawa Notes, which can be found on Facebook. So with a heavy dose of sarcasm, I'd like to congratulate Ottawa Impact for backsliding the county into anti-democratic norms, authoritarian rule, and Christian nationalist reactionary politics, which continues to drive the good and faithful people of Ottawa County into confusion, exhaustion, and anger. And to speak a little bit more about some of those topics, we have the privilege of being in conversation with Phil Kuyers. Now, Phil is the former longtime Ottawa County Commissioner who was first elected to the commission in 2000 and served as board chair for 3 of those years. He is now running again for the District 9 seat, which he represented for more than 2 decades before losing to Ottawa Impact Republican Roger Belknap, who he is running against in the August 6th primary. If Phil wins that primary, he will face Democratic challenger Angela Stanford Butler in the November primary. Phil, welcome to the program. And as you come on to this program, as I mentioned, Ottawa Impact candidate Roger Belknap, you were shaking your head from side to side. I guess you have a lot of thoughts on Roger Belknap and what Ottawa Impact is doing.
I do, Nick. Thanks for having me on this morning. It's a pleasure to talk about what's happening in Ottawa County as a county commissioner. And I'm really looking forward to getting back in there and working hard to bring this county back to good governance and common sense and good services.
Yeah, Phil, so can you talk about that my failed attempt here to play this news clip from Fox 17 News, but really the headline was 33 candidates filing to run for the commissioner's seats within these 11 districts. Do you have any thoughts on that, or could you speak to a bit about why you think so many candidates are running?
I think so many candidates are running because of the discontent that the current commissioners of OI have brought out in the county, and some of the ways they run governance in there is just unqualified in the way they have treated the health department in certain extents, and not endorsing grants or signing grants and losing positions there. People don't respect that. That's why they have brought so many people out of the woodwork to run against these groups, and Democrats like we've never seen before, and I get that because, they are feeling the pain and they do not approve of it.
Yeah. And then also, any thoughts on the Ottawa County GOP endorsement convention? I know that many candidates here have spoken outrightly against that. Many, obviously, of the Republican candidates, from, candidate for sheriff and Ottawa County prosecutor, so on and so forth. What are your thoughts on that? And do you have any insight, like, on that process? Clearly, this has never been done before. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's just to fix the Ottawa GOP, and so OI can endorse who they want to. This was pretty much all fixed before they even had it. To make a resolution and change the bylaws of not only the county but the state, which has never happened before, is pretty obvious what's going on. And a lot of people have talked to me about it. It raised a red flag for a lot of Republicans already, that's saying, "Hey, what happened?" I mean, and you see the vote situation, and you see, how they voted for Bill Heising and all that, and people are like, "This is just not right, not common sense."
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I think it was the Ottawa County GOP, and then probably in tandem with Ottawa Impact, there was a newsletter or a Facebook post. I forgot where I saw it, where they were essentially saying is like, "Hey, the county voted to put in these precinct delegates. Therefore, we are going to use these precinct delegates to then choose and endorse candidates," right? And again, this is an unprecedented move. But do you have any know-how of like how that works? Is that part of the job of a precinct delegate, or is that clearly overstepping the bounds in their job description?
It's not part of their job description. No, you quoted it right. It's clearly overstepping their boundaries. They do not have the right to choose the Republican delegates. We never did that before. As long as we've been on the GOP, you would run it through the primary, and then you would support the person that was running against the Dem for the Republican Party, and that's the way it always was. So to change the rules, like they've never been before, is not right.
Yeah. Then, so some of your friends and family members in where you live, Grand Haven Township, in your district, how are they responding to that? What's the reaction like?
People pulled me aside at church, and there's confusion on their face, like, what is going on? And even at work, people say, that come in there and say they've noticed it, that it was so, observed the way the numbers were and the way the votes were, that it didn't even make sense. And they caught on right away that they could see that was not the way the GOP is supposed to run. So to say, the precinct delegates are going to bring all this information, that's what they're for, back to the community. No, that's not correct.
Yeah. And what we continue to see with Ottawa Impact is they take these apolitical positions and make them political, all the way from the county administrator, from the health attempts to the health director, and now here with the precinct delegates, this consolidation of power and making things overtly political when they don't need to be. Which leads me to my next question here, Phil. And this is
Can I comment on a minute? I see signs coming up for OI, and it right across, big letters across the top, it says endorsed by the Republican Party. So now we know why the GOP ran it like they did for the precinct delegates. That's pretty obvious. That's going to be their campaign.
Yeah. Yes. Which brings up this question here. So this is a question that I've talked with a number of Republican candidates in previous episodes. Is really like, what happened to my Ottawa GOP? Meaning, if I'm a constituent, a resident of Ottawa County, where there are 300,000 plus people, one of the fastest growing county in all of Michigan, out of the 83 counties, right? Let's say I'm a longtime Republican, and I don't know what to do in this upcoming election cycle because of what's happening locally with Ottawa Impact and perhaps even nationally. But I want to really draw down on this and get your thoughts on what happened to my Ottawa GOP, because this is something, you've been a longtime member of the Ottawa GOP. What do you see that makes it different from when you were an officer or a participant into what's happening now?
The extreme, Nick. The people that are coming in are so extreme, right? That it's chaos. I mean, all the people that were GOP members for years and years and years are saying the same thing that you just said. What happened to our GOP? What happened to our Ottawa County GOP? It's not the Republicans that we know. It's not the Republicans that made our county and our state great. It's just not there no more. It's people with a vengeance that have a certain set of rules they want to go by, or agenda. They have an agenda and they have some people with lots of money in there, and they talk to different people, and hopefully that changes over the next couple of years when you see what's happened to the extreme part. That there's a lot of discontent people, and hopefully it shows up in the August primary. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it will show up in the August primary, Nick. I really, really do.
How, so I've been talking about this for a while with a lot of folks and really trying to get my pulse on how specifically Republican voters will respond in August during the primary election. And I think, perhaps one key to that was seeing how Chris Kleinians did with the election recall against Lucy Ebel. Now, he won against her significantly. I think there was a 20-point margin, but there was a rather low voter turnout for that district. You say that you have confidence that things will change. Could you give us a little insight into that? Like, what makes you feel confident in the voters?
In the voters, well, for one thing, knocking on doors, Nick, it's been amazing. I mean, I try to talk my talk about being good governance, know how to govern, being a leader, and it always turns to OI, no matter what you do when you knock on doors, which tells me that people are really aware of what's going on. I know only 50% of the people, I've had like 50% of the people even know about OI, and but them are the people that are going to vote. I had certain turnouts in my election when I lost of only 13% in parts of Grand Haven Township, and I don't think you're going to see that this time. So, we got PACs in every district, which we never seen before, which is pretty amazing what these PACs are doing and how they're organized and how they're working in the community to make every community better and get the leaders they want in, which I think is fantastic. And, it humbles me, and I'm really impressed by what they're doing, Nick.
Yeah, a lot of people getting involved. I mean, not only candidates, but as you mentioned, so many groups coming together, Republicans, Democrats, independents, all across the spectrum to create PACs and organizational groups in their county.
Let me comment on that, Nick. You talk about all kinds of different groups, Democrats, Republicans. I'm called a Rhino right away because a lot of people that are helping me are Democrats. But you know what? It's not about Democrat, Republican when you serve as commissioner. It's about services for everybody. And when some people get past that, they'll realize that, you just vote for the right person, and that leads a community that serves people. And that's what these groups are all about. They're all about that.
Yeah, I want to talk about this Rhino, Republican in name only, for a second. So, if we go back to the previous election cycle in 2022, where Ottawa Impact declared, and they continue to do so now with the backing of the Ottawa GOP, is that, their candidates, Ottawa Impact candidates, are the standard whereby Republicans in the county become vetted and endorsed. So as a longtime Republican official, what are your thoughts on Ottawa Impact taking the reins for this process and calling, individuals like yourself and others rhinos? How do you regain, or set anew the Republican name in Ottawa County?
I think it's going to start with the commissioners and the townships. The commissioners they have a seat on a GOP board, which is a pretty strong voice, which we had before. All 11 of us would come down there, and before Doug was on the board, and we worked hard for that GOP, and all the 5 elected officials. We're on the same page of what our GOP should be and look like in the county, and it ran really well. And we had Adam Tuntus was on there as chair that one time, and he did financially phenomenal, and that worked really, really good. That's, I think, how we're going to work. They can say we're going to censor you, but which they did to me, and that's like automatically kicking you off the board. But, I think we're going to have enough votes and enough numbers that we can get past that when we get past this commissioner election.
Yeah, with you being censured during that last election cycle, I was going to bring that up near the bottom of the program, but I'd like for you to talk about that a little bit more if you could. So, this was when, yes, during that last election cycle, you were censured along with a couple other commissioners like Roger Bergman and Greg DeYoung for, and I'm going to paraphrase here, for, working with the Democrats. And that meant, my organization, Vote Common Good West Michigan, and the Ottawa Integrity PAC, for, coming to an event, a forum that we had where, similar to this, I don't know that you couldn't make it at that one, but asking the candidates and the incumbent commissioners at the time, their thoughts on the election and why they were running. But yeah, Ottawa Impact and the GOP nailed it to like, hey, these commissioners, these Republicans are colluding, if you will, with George Soros types of organizations. But you and the others kind of marched on and plowed through with that. Do you have any thoughts on that? And like, does that make you fearful that you're going to be censured, or is there some type of word of encouragement that you might give for, other Republicans?
Yeah, I've never got a notice that I've been hit, not have been uncensored, Nick. So I don't know what that means.
So you're still there.
It was just, part of their political games that absolutely meant nothing as a Republican. I'll always be a Republican. I'm a conservative Republican. I'm pro-life. That's who I am, Nick. And, they can talk their talk, but that's not going to change me. So that's who we're going to be when we get back in control of the county. Yeah.
Now, too, you've in our conversations when we've met at some local events, you've mentioned a handful of times about wanting to promote or sponsor within the state legislature how the county commissioner seats should be nonpartisan. Could you share and speak a little bit about that? Why do you think that they should be nonpartisan, and how is that effort going?
Right. It was going really well. When I was past president of Michigan Association of Counties, Veronica Kleinfeld, which is a senator now on the east side of the state, she was president before me, so we got to know each other, and she was a Dem on that side, and she wrote had a bill all ready to go that would have the commissioners and even the elected officials nonpartisan, which a lot of states have. The majority of the states have that, Nick, because it's about services. It's not about your party. But there's some strong pushback on certain of the bigger counties. I mean, they have their caucuses before they go into board meetings, which I think is not the right way to do it. So, and I had she was going to sponsor the bill. A co-sponsor was going to be Roger Victory. And the governor would say, you know what, I'm all ready to sign this. And I got so much pushback from government affairs, from Michigan Association of Counties, that they said, if they don't support it, they're not going to support it. So I'm going to work on that. It's not dead in the water. I know they're still talking about it. And I just think I got to work with Mac a little bit more when I get back into being commissioner and work on this. And I think it's a great idea, because we want, after this, this stuff that's going on would be gone, and only the people that get elected would be the leaders that are going to get good services to our people and just good government, not totally dwell on your party one way or the other. So, yeah, that was, excuse me, that was a little disappointing, because I thought I was really doing well with that, but that's part of politics when it comes to certain points.
Historically, then, do you know, at what point did the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners become a partisan seat? Was it nonpartisan for a long time, and then somebody decided, okay, we're going to make this a partisan seat? Do you know that timeline or history?
I really don't, because you look at Ottawa County, it's always been Republican, and Doug Zouser was the first Dem, and now Now we have another one, and that's great. If them guys serve the county, good. I respect them just as much as I do any other person, Nick. So that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about your campaign here, and I'm going to pull a little bit of information from the Holland Sentinel when you did an interview with them. So a little excerpt from them, or a quote is Sarah Leach, or I'm pretty sure it was Sarah Leach, but you said
it was Sarah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sarah,
why don't I ask you? Yeah.
It was Sarah.
All right.
I was there. It was Sarah, Nick.
Thanks for confirming that. All right. So you said when people used to talk about Ottawa County, it was about the beaches, Grand Haven, Holland, great places to vacation. We have the best place to live, the healthiest place to live. Now the national news is talking about how stupid the commissioners are. That's not who we are. So, Phil, I thought that was just a great little line. Now the national news is talking about how stupid the commissioners are. So I have a two-part question. So the first one is, can you elaborate on what you mean by the stupidity of the commissioners?
How they go out of their way to cause conflict in the community. And then when they talk about that, and then they get all the people that come and voice their opinions, which takes hours and hours of time. And it also, people don't realize it also takes all the employees' time, and they have a ton of work to do. And we're have so many openings in our county now, and people are like, oh, well, that's a good thing. We got small county. It's not. We need services. We can't find police officers. We can't find people to work in the health department. When you cause conflict, I think that's just not common sense. And it's just stupidity. So, if we can get by that, and I know it's not going to be easy to get by. It's going to take a little while, because I know there's going to be tons of nasty comments when we get back on the board. So that's just part of our county that we got to work on and mend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a constant refrain that I've heard, is that just this increased amount of time for all involved, and then those two in the community. It's there's this Facebook group that kind of has this name of they're a watchdog of Ottawa Impact. That, and this is how I feel too. I'm like every morning I open the Holland Sentinel to see, all right, what else is going on? How else do we keep track of what's going on? And one of those most recent things too is the this pay increase for the county commissioners, and whether it's going to happen or not, or whether the process was valid or not. And then, political accusations of, Larry Jackson supposedly tanking it because he's a Democrat, and just so on and so forth. I would lump that into the stupidity of what's going on. But, Ottawa Impact would say, no, this is all fine. Do you have any thoughts on that? I guess maybe the question is, over their tenure of Ottawa Impact, and now moving on to say, hey, we want to give ourselves a 60% increase in pay because of et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think that is something that should be done, or if so, like how should it, or how should it not?
Oh, it should not be. It should be, the cost of living. That's what we always made it at. And you usually try to do it with the same as employees or a little less. And that one year we never took it at all, because just of the way the finances were. All of us did this as volunteers in some which way, because, I know one from Mark Northam and John Tolson. Some of them guys, they have no idea what this job pays. So they're not going in there for that at all. And that's the reason I went in there. I had no idea what this job paid. And when I was chair, I looked at my salary. I was making, about $10,000 a year, just under that. And it was costing health insurance of $16,000. I said, guys, for a part-time job, this is wrong. And we voted, and we took our health insurance away. My wife wasn't real happy about that, but I get that. Mm-hmm. So we moved on. And now they're turning around and doing the opposite. I'm like, so to them, it seems like this is not about, services and caring about the county. This is about me making it a full-time job, and then I want all the benefits that it should be just a part-time job. And you know what? You get a part-time job by doing this, Nick. You hire really, really good people in your administration, in the county, and they do excellent work. And they know a lot more as a specific things for their expertise at, and don't try to be administrator and micromanage it, because it's not going to work.
Yeah, because a part of this, too, of what you said with Sarah Leach from the Sentinel is that, quote, they've turned our county upside down, in reference to Ottawa Impact. Before it was everybody knitted together. Ottawa Impact will do their best to bankrupt the county if they keep doing what they're doing with the, and this is my aside, if they keep hiring those and without the expertise. They don't know politics. They don't know government at all. So I wonder, let's talk about this for a moment. Bankrupting the county. And we could point to the finances that keep kind of creeping up with, in terms of paying common legal group, and paying for severance packages, paying for at the time paying more money to John Gibbs and then his assistant, and all, et cetera, et cetera. I just had this thought the other day, and I'll share it with you. Is like, do you think Ottawa Impact cares about possibly bankrupting the county or losing their AAA bond rating? It seems to me that they just keep moving in this way where it's just reckless. But do they seem to even care?
It doesn't seem like they care. I mean, you look what they do as far as receiving grants. And, when I see that they're not receiving some of these grants just because of the word equity and inclusion, and I'm like, that's just wrong, because that is our tax money coming back to our people in this county. And your opinion is, well, you know what? If you get administration in Lansing that is, a Democrat, you're going to have that in the grants. They're going to put that wording in them grants. If you get a Republican, that in Lansing, them ain't going to be there. But that's part of politics. And to say, you know what, well, if that's got in there, I don't want that. I don't want that grant in my county. That will hurt us financially. It's destroying the health department and community mental health. I mean, seriously, of all the things, community mental health, which happened since COVID, there's been more, rate of mental health than ever before. They need help, and they're like, no, sorry, it's got equity inclusion, and we're not going to sign that grant. That's not how it should be.
Mm-hmm. Now, what would happen if the county were to lose its AAA bond rating? What would happen? And then if it were to be lost, how long would it take to gain that back? What does that process look like?
Well, you go through a process of applying for it through different agencies. What would happen is down the road, as far as your schools, your townships, your road commission, your water and sewer, all your infrastructure, all that bond rating goes through the county to give it really, really good rates, which saves every taxpayer more money than they can imagine. And a lot of people don't realize that, what the AAA does for them. It saves money down the road, especially for our children, huge money down the road. So, yeah, we'll see. Once they said that they still got a AAA, but that was off the past commissioners.
Uh-huh.
They patted themselves on the back. It was not their doing. It was the commissioners before them. So that's it lags a year behind. So we'll see what happens this following year. I pray and hope that we keep the AAA, because either way, we need that in our county.
Yeah, that was them using that data and information was just so hilarious. When for those who know that's like you said, information from previous. From the previous commissioners. I
was kind of proud of that. I thought it was a pat on my back, Nick. So,
Yeah, they said, hey, thanks, Phil, for doing such a great job.
Yeah.
We'll just continue to make you look like a bad guy. Another thing that you said with the Sentinel is, I'm going to spend some money on people we don't want back. It might cost the county a little bit.
I'm going to rephrase that.
Uh-huh.
I seen that one in there later. I'm going to spend money on people we need to get back into the county.
Okay.
It says, all right, And I noticed that after it came out a while, I'm like, that's not what you meant, Phil. Maybe that's what I said, and maybe Sarah wrote it. But either way,
Mm-hmm.
Nick, I want to spend money on good people to get back into the county. And in the long run, they will hire people that get better services and be more efficient. To be efficient the way some of the people that were in there before was amazing. And I know these people, and you shouldn't be just hiring people off the cuff. Especially administrator. My goodness, you have to do that. Have a long process of interviews and getting the right people in there, and you just can't say, well, this person's going to listen to me. I'm just appoint them in there. You should go through HR. You should have a group that, interviews a bunch of people, and you go through the list and you get the most qualified person, which they're not doing right now. And it's pretty obvious. It's really, to have John Anderson in there like this and still running for sheriff, it sure seems like a conflict of interest to me, but it's part of how they work.
Mm-hmm. Do you, so a voter might go, okay, if Ottawa Impact they've spent so much money frivolously, damn near $1 million for litigation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then, I hear Phil Kuyers saying, hey, we need to spend some more money to get the people we need back. Do you could you explain to a voter is like, okay, we need to spend this money, and this is how much it might cost the voters, because I'm just thinking through this kind of the list, the budget increases here. How would you explain that to a voter a little bit more?
I hear what you're saying, Nick. To be more efficient, sometimes you get the right people in there. They will cost you less down the long run because they're so efficient at what they do. So you won't have these conflicts like they have with John Gibbs and stuff, like people like that, and then cause litigation, which costs you more money. So if they would have had the right person in their administration right from the start, you wouldn't have seen all this litigation. You wouldn't have seen all this conflict. You wouldn't have seen all this waste of time with all the employees and all the people coming to these meetings, because they would be content about what's going on instead of conflicts. Conflicts cost you more money, whether they like to admit it or not, and that's what they dwell on. Mm-hmm. It's pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm. So when Ottawa Impact was put into office or sworn into office on day one of 2023, they did a couple things within their first hours of service to the community. So they fired and I'm going to go just through this small list here. They fired the county administrator and replaced him with a former political candidate, i.e. John Gibbs, without conducting a public interview. They eliminated one of the county's newer departments, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, without review and input from local stakeholders. They attempted to replace the director of a health department, Adeline Hambley, of the health department, with somebody who has no applicable job experience. They replaced the county's longtime corporation counsel with a legal group, Coleman Legal Group, that compelled a conflict of interest. And they changed the county's motto to something that contradicts the board's actions on a regular basis, from where we belong to oh crap, what is it now? Freedom, something. What is it, Phil? I forgot. Something freedom. So these are all things that Ottawa Impact did on day one. So, Phil, I wonder, and this is a listener question that was posed. There are so many things that candidates and voters are upset by, and they want to see change. What is the one thing that you would propose to do on day one, or what is at the top of your list that you would like to implement with the Board of Commissioners?
By day one, I'd be looking and working with HR and going through and define a really good administrator, a qualified administrator, one that knows how to run county government. That's my number one thing to do right away. And following down that road, going through the grant situation and what's going on with the health department. Do they do everything right? No, but none of us do, Nick. So, to reinforce their finances and give them their grants back to help the people that need these services, that are really in need of these services, is one of my priorities. Yeah, and then we'll work on it from that as a group. We're going to work as a group, not as just a small unit of the government.
Mm.
I want all the commissioners' input on this.
Yeah, could you explain here the position of a county administrator? So we know that a county commissioner, this is a part-time job, right? When you were in office, how many hours would you give to this during the week?
You could make this job as big or as small as you want. You could just come to the meetings, and you could tell certain commissioners did not read their agenda and weren't ready. But I'd say, especially when I was chair, we went out of our ways because we talked about this. We wanted to face with the county commissioners because a lot of people don't even know who their county commissioner is. They don't know just what district their county commissioner is from. I can tell you that for a fact, Nick, just meeting them, all the people. And I think that has changed a lot. So going back to that's kind of where I would work forward.
Yeah, and I bring that up to kind of, and I'll have you explain this, but the role of a county administrator, why is that so important? Because I can see the juxtaposition or the difference between, a position as a county commissioner and then the administrator. What is the role? What is the primary role and function of the county administrator?
Primary role of the county administrator is to run the county. We had a really good system where we would meet every year. We would put all our priorities up there and we would, rate them and tell them this is what we want as commissioners as a whole for the county. And then we would go through and rate them all. And then that's what our county administrator would work for. And, he would go out and work with HR and the people of different administrations like the finance and work with them to find good quality people, and to throw the HR and not have them help with administration, we have really professional people there is not the way you do it. I can't imagine all the OI commissioners have all qualifications, of being an HR person, being a financial person, being are they all wrapped up in one? I know I'm not. I never have been. I know you're not, Nick. It's just who we are. We all have our special qualifications to be that person. And when we did that as a group, it worked out really, really well. And then administrator just took it and ran with it. And he reported quarterly what he was doing to have, our views and our positions and our ratings. And that's the way it worked. And it didn't cost us nothing. Now they want to spend $100,000 for that too. So, yeah.
What do you mean it didn't cost you nothing? Like, what do you mean by that?
Because our staff did it. We had good staff that could go through when we did our meeting in the beginning of the year to have our views and what we were going to do the following year. I mean, our staff did it. We did a work session and it worked out really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had Al and John Shea and the assistant there, not the assistant, the assistant, all three of them. And then we usually rent a different place from one of the parks, and we just go there and spend 4 to 5 hours a day and get everybody's viewpoint and rate them and put stickers on from 1 to 10. And that's the way we move forward. It worked really well. And I think it worked really well for the whole county because, we had a few commissioners that one, and I get that sometimes. I have that thing in my district too. And you feel like you should do it because the people in your district voted for you. So if there's certain small priorities in your district, you're going to push for it a little bit, but you're not always going to get your way because you know what? It's not best for the whole county. And when you're a county commissioner, you got to realize it's just not your district. It's the whole county that you serve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You brought up John Shea and Al Vandenberg. So Al Vandenberg was I guess those were the two previous county administrators who now work. Al Vandenberg is the administrator for Kent County, and now John Shea for the city of Wyoming, if I have that correct.
Yep.
I don't expect you to put words in their mouth, but have you? What might be some of the thoughts and feelings, sentiments from individuals like them, or maybe from across the state of Michigan, going, hey, like what's going on in Ottawa County? Do you receive any like encouragement or like, hey, keep plowing ahead. You're doing a fantastic job to get these guys out. What does that look like across the county and perhaps the state?
Strong support for us. Strong support from all of the state. We even got donations. Me and Josh did from this person in California, and it's like, what's going on? He says, well, I used to live in Holland, in West Michigan. It was the most phenomenal place I live. Now I live in California. He said there was some newscaster, newspaper in California that he's seen what was going on in Ottawa County, and he said this is just so wrong. And he sent us donations from California. Can you imagine that? That's the last thing I ever thought as commissioners, that we give us out-of-state donations to support us to bring this county back to good governance. And National Association of Counties, the administrator there contacted me right away. He says, Phil, I cannot believe what's going on. You have been such an awesome leader as a state leader, as a federal leader in the National Association of Counties. He says, this is going to change and to go back to where it should be. So that's kind of the feeling I get out there, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Like never before. Okay. Like never before. So it's pretty humbling.
Yeah. When I hear things like this, you mentioned earlier, like, people, they don't know who their county commissioner is. And it just reminds me of something that Josh Bruger has said. He's a candidate as well in District 10.
Yes.
But he said, he his little tagline is government should be boring. And I feel, excuse me, the same way too. It's like, government should be functioning and, at its best when it's boring. Can we go back to this, time when we did not know who our, county commissioners were or our school board members? I mean, so I wonder with this is, so, you've heard some positive things, from folks that or who are involved in wanting to push out Ottawa Impact and have a return to responsible governance. Have you heard from Ottawa Impact supporters? Have you spoken with them and, heard some of their concerns, or did they come up to you and say, oh my gosh, this is what I wanted to change in 2022. And then all of this happened. Like, have you had any conversations with those supporters?
Very few, because it's gonna end up with one thing, Nick. It's gonna end up with conflict, and it's kind of like, that's the Kool-Aid they've been drinking. They want conflict with the rest of the community. I don't understand that, but that's pretty much a fact. And and I'd say one thing that I've been finding out, a lot of people said, shame on me for not voting. A lot of people did not vote, and that's what is called by, not knowing or hearing about your commissioners in the news, because you know what? We live a really good life here. We don't need disturbance in our life. We got amazing schools. We got amazing parks. And that's what we want to do as citizens, just live our life and have a really nice house, and raise our family here.
So we previously hit upon this. So in 2022, you decided to become a common good candidate. And then during this election cycle, you've decided to become a common good candidate again. And so I want to thank you for that. And what this means to our listener is that a common good candidate self-selects to promote the common good in their political campaigns, in their political discourse. So, this is so Vote Common Good West Michigan. We support these candidates. We try to showcase them by having them on podcasts like this or inviting them to, public forums. But this is a platform where the candidates say, we are wanting to talk about these things in West Michigan. So some of these things are trustworthy leadership, responsible governance, genuine belonging, ethical conduct, service before self, and love in politics. So, Phil, I want to thank you for being a common good candidate. And then I want to pose the question, so why did you make this decision again, after being censured in 2022? And what does it mean to you?
Oh, why did I make it again? Because I've seen how they wrecked the county, and I've seen what an amazing county we had, and it really hurts to see this. And I said, you know what, I got to get back and fix it. So, and I think we will. I'm almost positive we will. We have a really good slate of people running, and I think we'll have the majority on the board. And I pray we do, and I'm pretty sure and positive we will. So, but they're going to come down the road like they did last time, and they will accuse us of lies that are not true. Just like they're doing with the GOP, they're stretching the truth about how the precinct delegates should choose the right Republican. Well, that's kind of a joke. We know that, Nick, because it doesn't happen in any part of the state. They said I was, pro-abortion because they said there was Planned Parenthood in our county. I've been pro-life all my life, and just to do them little lies about me, that's just not right. It hurts me and my family. And they're going to say, that I'm not endorsed by the Republican Party. Guaranteed. That's going to be one of the things they're going to mail out, that I'm not endorsed by the Republican Party. Well, we'll see what happens, because I think I'm going to be voted in by the Republicans in this county. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The oh boy, I had a question here, then I lost it. Here it is. Phil, I want to give you the floor to give your elevator pitch, your campaign pitch. So, what's your pitch to voters in your district?
Voters in my district is, I want to bring good services back to you. I want to mend the county so we get rid of our conflicts and bring it back to boring government like we had before. And you can raise your family without all this conflict going on. I'm sure it goes through our schools and everything else. So one of my pitch lines is, I'm Phil Kuyers, running for county commissioner. I'd like to serve you again. I'd like to do an amazing job as a leader. And I have the leadership skills, Nick. I have great leadership skills, and it doesn't come, just overnight. It took me years to do this. I made a lot of wrong decisions. When you make wrong decisions, it makes you a greater leader because you learn from them. So that's kind of what I tell people.
Ooh, Phil, that's an interesting thing to say, that you've made mistakes in the past as an elected leader, and that you learn from them. We don't hear that too often from our elected officials. So why? That's something, if we could just go on that for a few moments here, is, this is something that I've noticed, and many have noticed too, about Ottawa Impact and, Joe Moss. Like, they will never say that they're wrong, even though, like, the whole a ton of people looking at the situation will go, well, this is absurd, and this is skirting on the line of illegal, but this is wrong and sideways. What makes you say that? What makes you be honest in that way? Like, hey, I've made mistakes. I've learned from it. This is who I am. What makes you say that as part of your pitch?
I think it's part of my, raising. My parents did an amazing job of raising me. My Christian community that I grew up in. And people that surround me, they want to know that. And I tell them that, and I know one of the biggest things I tell people when I lost this campaign, it was because of my arrogance. I thought I could run on my name, and it humbled me a lot, Nick, and that's good for any person to be humbled. And it doesn't look like OI wants to be humbled at all. So I hope the voters humble them. I hope they humble them a lot, and it'll be good for them and make them grow. They don't know it, but it'll make them grow.
Mm-hmm. Friends, that's Common Good candidate Phil Kuyers. Phil is the former longtime Ottawa County Commissioner who was first elected to the commission in 2007 and served as board chair for 3 years. He is now running again for the District 9 seat, which he represented for more than 2 decades, and he'll face Ottawa Impact Republican Roger Belknap in the August 6th primary. Phil, I want to thank you for your time this morning. I know that we had, trouble getting this scheduled, but I want to thank you for your time this morning and making it happen.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for giving me the time to be on here. And one little thing that you said just a minute ago, I wasn't elected in 2007 because that made me a long, long time. Okay, it was 2000.
2000? Did I say 2007?
Yeah.
All right. My notes say 2000.
Don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. Okay.
Hey,
it's all right.
Phil, I make mistakes too, and I can admit to when I make
Thank you
mistakes.
very much.
I've been humbled on this program.
There you go. Perfect.
All right.
Maybe that's our new slogan, right?
Yeah. I make mistakes and I've been humbled.
There you go.
All right, Phil. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm going to conclude the rest of the program.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. Hey, friends. We'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you about this podcast. So what did you think of our conversation with Phil? Was this conversation helpful for you? And what would you like us to talk about in upcoming episodes? Be sure to leave your comments on our Facebook page under this podcast episode. And also, be sure to stay informed in 2024. You can sign up for our weekly newsletter at votecommongood-wm.org, and you'll sign up to, within that newsletter, you'll receive alerts about the podcast and event updates, which I have an update right now for you. So Sunday, June 16, which is Father's Day, we will be having another live podcast event at Park Theater. So this event will feature Sarah Leach from the Holland Sentinel and her cohort, Mitchell Boatman. So they're going to be talking about what it means or what it has looked like to cover Ottawa Impact over the past since 2023, and some of those challenges and what it looks like, or some of the challenges too with being a covering the news here in Ottawa County through the Holland Sentinel, because we know nationally the newspaper, or there are so many news deserts. So they're going to be talking about what that means. We're also going to have Common Good candidates Chris Crothers, Democrat in Zealand. I believe that's District 4 or 5. But we'll also have Common Good candidate Phil Kuyers as well. And so they're going to be sharing about a little bit about their campaign and what it means to be a Common Good candidate. And then finally, this is going to be a big live event. I will be sharing about my recent trip to the U.S.-Mexico border via Arizona and the sister cities there. So I think Doug Padgett, the executive director of Vote Common Good, will be in town for this. But what we're going to do is there are some videos, and we're just going to share about what it looked like and felt like to see the border wall in person. So I'll just give you a little snippet here. So on the U.S. side, the border wall is 13 feet high, and there are these barriers that are inches apart, and you can see through onto the Mexico side. And then along other portions of the wall, there are the wall that the Trump administration built, and they are 30 feet high. And so all along this wall, there is concertina wire, barbed wire that makes it look and feel like a militarized zone. There's even patrols. In the place that we were at, there was a border patrol agent in a truck, and it made me feel like I had gone back to Afghanistan during the global war on terrorism in 2008 when I was serving in the Air Force. So I had this real kind of feel like that I was back in the military, and there was a military operation and a posture of defense. But going across into the Mexico side, things were flipped, a 180. The Mexico side, the sister city there on that side, where the wall had paintings of murals for miles on end. Instead of a militarized zone, there was just a community living their life. There was a sidewalk on that other side of the wall, and I mean the exact opposite side of the wall. People were walking their dogs, riding their bikes, driving to and from work. and there were trees planted along the way, and I could see this too on the U.S. side. I could see the people just riding their bikes, passing along, and I just had to stop and shock from what I saw, as they were just kind of, things were normal and very opposite from where I was. So I will be sharing that experience and more. We got to visit some of the centers, these nonprofits that are helping migrants seek asylum. I spoke to a number of these families and the difficulties and the trauma that they face with just getting to the border along the Mexico side, and why they are attempting to come into the United States. And it was never something that they wanted to do. All of these families, to a T, would return to their country of origin, Colombia, El Salvador, etc., if they could. But if they do, they're going to lose their lives. It's a real gut-wrenching, for me, it was a real gut-wrenching experience, and I just hope to share that with you to personalize these political stories and help us to think outside the box and get beyond all the political rhetoric. So that live podcast event will be happening Sunday, June 16, from, I think it's going to go from 5:30 to 8:30 with those 3 segments, talking about the border, talking about Ottawa Impact with Holland Sentinel, and we'll be talking with some common good candidates. So I hope to see you there. Put that in your calendar. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. Thank you for joining this Common Good conversation. Till next time, be the common good in West Michigan.